We talk a lot about personal growth on this show, and one thing we don't talk about is all the money that is behind it. So today I wanted to have my friend Brooklyn Wright on the show. Brooklyn is my favorite person to talk to about money because we come from similar backgrounds in which we didn't have money and we figured out how to get money and invest money and create wealth, and now teach other people how to create wealth and connect to that. A large part of that is mindset. So if you've ever found yourself with mindset blocks around how much money you can make or have, or the kind of wealth that you can build, the kind of abundance that you can live in, then you really need to listen to today's episode. It's going to help you out a lot. Enjoy my conversation with Brooklyn Wright. Welcome to Seekers and Shifters, where we talk to the world's foremost experts in personal growth and development and ask them everything we really want to know. Brooklyn, I'm so happy to have you here. Do you want to introduce yourself to our viewers, listeners, audience?
Yeah, I am Brooklyn Wright. Overall, just cool human. Listen, I'm a dope ass friend, is what I like to call myself to most people. Obsessed with personal growth, how you change and shift your life to build a life that you absolutely love and never need a break from. And I love helping and watching people transform and build their dreams and strategically not work. I know that's not a big thing. I know it's not a popular belief, but I don't think any of us should be working, at least not hard. So yeah. Excited for this conversation. As always, a huge fan of Michelle, of you, Michelle. And so yeah, happy to be here.
I love it. One of my favorite people to talk about money with, and I've held that out for a long time. Brooklyn, you and I share this impetus to bring knowledge to people, right? To demystify things that sometimes not everybody has had access to, especially in the world of building personal wealth. I want to just jump right off on something you just said, which is I'm trying to help people work less. And that might not be popular, but like, I think that's right because I think what's coming for us with AI, et cetera, and I'm no expert, but like, they're just not, we're not going to need as many people working as much. And it's like, I think this is going to be a mind fuck for a lot of people because, like, well, what do we do with ourselves if we're not all working all the time? And what do humans transition into then? Is it a more creative class of people? I don't know. Where do you think this is all going? Like, what do you think the next 5 years looks like? Because like
Yeah.
I alternate between being like excited and freaked out.
Yeah, and I think that's warranted, right? We should be a little bit of both, right? I think we are going to AI in no doubt. We are going to lose to robots, right? I think we've already lost to robots. We've already
That's
lost.
fun.
We like what if there is a war between humanity and robots? Humans have lost this thing. And so I think not only are you right that there will be less need for work, but there also just there'll be less opportunity, I think, for folks to actually work. And now is the time that you continue to set yourself up both mentally and financially for whatever may come, right? This idea of get a good job, work till you die, or work until you're old. That went out the window, I think, 30 years ago, right? And we're just now seeing it continue to come to fruition. So if I am a human, I think, personally, I'm looking to be okay with that fact. And if I am a human, I am a human. At least they tell me.
I was gonna say, but hey, are you some kind of
I may
are
be
you one of those
supernatural.
reptilians I keep hearing about?
I may be supernatural. That may be true, but as of today, I still identify as human. But if I am that, I am looking for, okay, one, I need to still feel abundant in that. I need to still feel as if the world is completely open to whatever my dreams may be, right? So I think you're always working on mindset in that and not being afraid of the future or building from a place of fear. And then I think financially, it's pay off high debt, right? It's make sure that you need less and you're not caught up in materialistic things. Like, don't go around buying G Wagons if you can't afford G Wagons, you know what I mean? Which is what we see high car payments, we see high debt. I think it's making sure that also maybe that you can make money without actually having to work for it. And what does that look like for you? And is that an actual possibility? And then, yeah, just do like have more fun, find ways to have fun with things that won't require you to burn yourself out. As a old workaholic, right? Like, I also seem to only know workaholics, especially women. I don't know why women are such workaholics. Well, I do.
We
But
can dive all the way into that if you want to.
your show, we go wherever you want to.
Spoiler alert, trauma.
Period. But yeah, I think it's finding ways to love the life that you have, being grateful for what you have, and then also needing and wanting less. To be completely honest with you.
Oh, 100%. I don't know about you, but like the older I get, the more I guess I should say like the less the marketing works on me. The more I'm getting a little cautious, like, they're just trying to get me to spend money. And I went into the mall, which I haven't walked into a mall in a minute, but like before Christmas, it just felt like, a traditional thing to do, like go into the mall and see if there's presents that, sometimes you don't know what to get for people. So it's like, oh, I'll walk around and see if I get ideas or whatever. And I walked in the mall and I just had such a different experience than I've ever had before, where it was just like, there's just so much crap that people don't need, and they're just trying to sell us all a bunch of crap. Like, I feel like an old lady walking through the mall.
Absolutely. Like it has gotten extremely obvious. Like, I think I am 40 years old, right? A little bit over 40. And that is such a shift. So much has happened in the world of marketing. TV used to go off when I was a child, right? I was here for the birth of the internet. They didn't have as many opportunities to make you a consumer as they do today, right? Every TikTok, I look at one TikTok, the next one's trying to sell me, the other one's trying to sell me, someone's trying to get me into their course or their class, someone's trying to tell me I should buy this thing. I can scan a QR code and pick it up right there. So I think there is very much so that reality is just very true, right? Like we're back to the level of snake oil salesmen that they used to have, that I used to read about in books. And so I think that that's very true. I think like for me and my family, we actually didn't really celebrate holidays this year. And I'm seeing less of that in some ways, I think, for people too. We went hiking on Thanksgiving, we went hiking on Christmas Day, right? And really did just a lot less. And that felt great, right? There is this, I'm a contrarian as well. And I think one of the biggest things you can do is to just avoid being a statistic, i.e., a consumer, i.e., someone who is being sold to constantly. That is also my way of like pushing back against, the system or the man or whoever we're calling this thing that's trying to consume us.
Yeah. It's interesting when you bring up kind of needing less or doing with less. As my kids are growing up, it's finally starting to occur to me like, oh my gosh, my expenses are going to go so far down when I don't have a kid at home. Not college tuition. Well, that's a whole separate conversation,
Sure.
right? My money and my son go to Fordham for anybody listening. All of it right now. But once that's done, that's done. I mean, I already told him I'm not paying for law school. It's like, I'll help you out with undergrad. Past that is, but it's amazing because you kind of, and for anyone listening that's in that like working parent mode, it feels like that's what it's going to be like forever. And that like, oh my gosh, the expenses are up here when it comes to like, oh, I need a house nice enough for the kids to live in. I need a car nice enough to drive, and it's like once they're gone, like Michelle person doesn't need a whole lot, right? Like I grew up super poor. Like I don't need a lot. I'm happy.
Yeah. And I think there is, and this is not to say rob yourself of joy, right? Because that's not the conversation that we're looking to have. But yeah, don't let them get caught up in telling you what you need or how big that house needs to be or what suburb that house needs to be in or what city or where, et cetera, right? Or how many gifts are enough gifts for Christmas. Like, yeah, absolutely. I think controlling, because I do think humans are like bugs to light in the way that we're sold to, right? Like it's ooh, all these flashy things and things that we're attracted to. Don't die. Don't get zapped by all the things that they're trying to wrap you into. And really just get off the internet and get outside and enjoy life. Life is actually quite pleasant if you just don't get caught in the cycles.
Yeah. And I see more and more people doing that. And there's, I don't know if you've heard about the dead internet theory, but it's where, within a few years, all the content is produced by bots and it's like bots commenting on bots posts. And eventually most of the real people are going to get off and be like, hey, I don't really need to see my bot talk to your bot. And there'll be, maybe 10% of people that are still just kind of addicted to scrolling the bot content. But, it might be that all of this goes away in some level where we all just go, oh no, we're sick of it. That has really scary implications for entrepreneurs and people in small business who rely on the internet to largely organically market our products and do maybe like a little bit of paid advertising. I don't know. What do you think about, like, as a person, I'm like, that sounds great. As an entrepreneur, I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
too online.
Yeah. I love this. I was having this exact conversation with a friend of mine who was somewhat interested in maybe getting into coaching. I know a bunch of folks who are into coaching on the internet, and I think this is somewhat true to the audience that may see this. I think we are coming into a time where that internet market is also very saturated, though, right? So I think we're already in a shift for this time. And this is not something you need to wait on. It's not something that's actually coming in 5 years, but it's actually oversaturated today. And so I know personally, if I was a coach now, if I was using the internet for kind of a B2C, or I'm going direct to consumer for money now, I am looking to shift or would consider shifting to a B2B practice, right? And really getting in front of people more. I think a lot of folks who are consuming content through the internet want to go back to the days where they could actually see that coach face to face, where they could actually be with people and be with community and touch community. I also think that corporations have bigger dollars, right? Like that's just the facts. I would not want to get, anywhere from 150 to $1,500 or 3 grand from individual people. I would actually look to, okay, how do I get 10K plus from a company that then is going to bring in people and support the business in that way? That's how I would be looking at it today, regardless of if the internet continues to work. But that's just, again, I'm not in this business. I'll preface that. So if you highly disagree, it's simply my opinion, but that is what I would.
I don't highly disagree. I somewhat disagree with some of it, but what I do agree with is the move to in-person stuff, and that's certainly how we're starting to pivot our business. Which, by the way, I never loved doing everything online anyway. It was COVID made that completely necessary, where we were having to do like in whole ass retreats, like 3-day retreats online. I did one hybrid one time, and I was like, I'm never fucking doing this again. Like having to like talk to the people in the room and then being like, "Did you guys get that on the Zoom?" Like, fucking shoot me, like never again. And I was so excited when stuff started coming back in person. And now it's like, I think everybody's just craving that. And so I'm starting to do a lot more of my events in DC. It's like, look, I live here. Like people come here. This is a cool place to be. Like come view with me here. We also do a little bit of travel stuff around, but like, yeah, getting people together in person is where it's fucking at. And I do think it's also about like your personal brand becoming more and more important now, because like you said, coaching is not unique anymore, to the point where now I already have friends that are talking to Claude instead of going to therapy
Mm,
and things
mm,
like that. And it's like, if you've never done any therapy or done any kind of personal growth work, you can talk to an AI chatbot that's like, hey, have you considered the other person's perspective or whatever? Like it'll feed you
yeah,
stuff where you go,
yeah,
huh, maybe I
yeah.
should do that. Right. So it's rapidly going to be replacing even the, coaches know how to ask good questions. Well, so does fucking Claude, right? Where the premium is going to be is on, do people want to work with you or trust you, right? Like I'm leaning in right now very hard to my authenticity online. Everybody else is having their content written by chatbots. I'm not doing that. I love the chatbots, by the way, for research, and I'm talking to them and all of that stuff. When I'm putting together a pitch deck, hey, who else is in this? Like the competitive research, all that stuff, fucking chef's kiss, love it. When it comes to just writing something on the internet, if you're reading it, it's from me, like I wrote it, because I think there's going to be a premium on human authenticity and human emotion.
Yeah, and human connection, right? Like I think, yeah, that is the point. Is folks will continue to get off the internet. Like I think everyone's feeling it. It is doomsday. I feel very bad when I look at the newsreel that sits in my hand now, right? And so getting outside, being amongst people who are just having a good time, who believe it, who are like-minded, and then yeah, having someone who leads that who is also authentic. I think that's an easy shift. I think that's a shift that folks should make now, and it will absolutely set them apart.
Well, I think another thing that you and I both focus on in our work is joy, right? Like, how do you find joy? How do you bring joy? How do you help guide other people to find their own joy? Because, like you said, so much of the news and even just corporate marketing at this point is based on fear. I mean, I don't know what ads you're getting in your algorithm. I'm sure they're different from mine, but like my ads now, because I'm 43, are like, you're in perimenopause. You should be on hormones. Aren't you worried about the wrinkles on your forehead? Aren't you worried about the chin hair you're growing? Like, aren't you worried about what a fat, unsexy sow you've become? Like, it's just like every other. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is just all designed to make me feel ugly and old and fat and sell me more pills and creams and injections and fucking freezing my fat off procedures or whatever the fuck. And it's like, yeah, I'd rather just go outside and enjoy my fat body walking down the street.
100%. 100%. No, that's exactly right. Like Amazon hates me, right? Like my Fire Stick hates me. My TV hates me. My internet hates me. There's no way they can love me the way they talk to me and the things they try to sell me, right? Like that's just absolute facts. And so yeah, but when I walk outside, typically the sun is shining. There are great people out there. I can go to the grocery store and meet somebody random and have an excellent conversation. Yeah, and I want more of that, right? I don't want to be sold another pill. But yeah, absolutely, you're right on.
It's like I miss the connection. I'm sure you do too. If you remember, even like pre-COVID in DC, I had communities of people. We got together a lot. There's always some kind of party going on, some kind of discussion group, something to go to. I happen to have the experience of turning 40 right in the middle of COVID. So it was like I got old and COVID happened at the same time. So I haven't had a real good, like, it's not good science in terms of there was more than one variable. So like, I don't know, it's like, is this just like getting old is like, or is this a COVID thing or whatever? But suddenly there's way less social stuff, way fewer parties. And I want to go. Like, I'll tell you right now on this call, like, oh, I really want to go to that stuff. But then when I get the invite, it got so comfortable. I'm like, yeah, but I could just eat and watch Netflix and be like comfy and like I don't want to put on clothes and go. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's the same. I missed so I COVID started, I was like 37. And so those I missed that last 3 years of like being in the club, going to day parties, all of that. Like when COVID stopped and the world opened again, you're right. I was older, right? I won't say old, but that's how it felt. But I was now no longer interested in the things that I used to be interested in. And so yeah, I've had to really recreate like I've had to sit with myself and ask myself like what are hobbies for me, what are the things that I actually, what does new joy actually look like for Brooklyn, right? And that has been so interesting. Like I no one ever teaches you that that time is going to come. And so I think it did very much so catch me by surprise that I would wake up and not I would feel guilty about not like I was bored and like I was not having fun and I was not used to that, especially, being a Cali kid, so much sun, so many people, so much just joy all the time. I was really confused as to what is happening, right? Who am I now? That's been an interesting journey along my personal growth as well.
Well, and I think you see kind of everyone going through that simultaneously. And then marketers are coming and going, well, I'll tell you who you are. You're someone in perimenopause who needs to be taking hormone replacement, whatever. And it's like you can see why people get caught up, right? You and I are both on a build wealth, money, freedom crusade to teach that to other people. And part of what you're saying is, hey, don't buy stupid shit, right? Like, watch your cost of living for one thing, because you can take this money and you could invest it in a stock instead of buying a new pair of jeans, right? You got $100, buy a stock with it.
100%. And even for me, it's actually much bigger than that, right? Like it's more that $1,200 car payment you have, you know what I mean? Like that needs to be a $300 car payment and use that $700 to actually change your life, right? Like it is the major moves of life. For me personally, we house hack, right? Like I've got a house that we own. We've got roommates here, not because we have to, but because that money is better spent into my future, right? And so absolutely wanting that for people. And then because my joy is the cost of a pair of jeans, right? Like it cost us $40 to go skating. We went ice skating and it was like the best time, right? I spent $15 last night and played poker with 10 women around the table. And like, that was now a hobby of mine. That was something that will bring me joy. And it has nothing to do with the internet. It has nothing to do with work. Like it's pure fun, pure joy. And inexpensive ultimately.
Yeah. I think it's just a good time for all of us to reset and just completely re-examine our habits. I mean, that is one thing that COVID did for us is it put such a record scratch stop to everything that you had to go, oh, there's all these things I was doing before that I was kind of doing on autopilot because I'd always done things the same way. Everybody else was doing things the same way. And we all started to question, wait, do like I need to go to an office? Wait, do I need to have all these work clothes? Do I what friends do I actually want to reconnect with now that I've lost touch with everybody? And there are some people that I lost touch with that was like, no offense to those people, but there are people that I really missed. And there are people I was like, I was just kind of always friends with that person because everybody else I knew was or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think that along my journey has been the most important, right? Is who are you surrounding yourself with? I think overspenders tend to hang out with overspenders, overachievers hang out with overachievers, right? Like attracts like. And so I think, yeah, the best place you can start is to reevaluate your circle. Iron sharpens iron, right? That's one of my favorite quotes. And having the wrong people around you or people that are just misaligned with who you want to be in the future, I think that's the easiest way to get off track, to overspend, to underwork, underperform, all of the things absolutely comes with that community and that environment.
So there's this principle of, hey, let's be judicious with where the money goes. But then there's also this other side of it, which is the investment side of it. Now that's getting really interesting as well. I don't know about you, but it's like, I don't know what's going to be happening with the bar as all of this stuff comes in. I've been hearing for a long time, oh, there might be a big pending crash. I've been a little more cautious with my money the last, I'll say 6 to 9 months, based on the fact that, some big event might be coming, but it feels like the big event never comes and the market just keeps going up. I've missed some big upside opportunities the last couple of months, including big crypto boom, et cetera, because I was being more cautious about maybe an impending crash. And so far, nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we are recording this on Monday, January the 13th. And I think as of Friday, last Friday, the market actually has now taken its real first downturn, right? Like, yeah, like we've officially come off of, wherever there has been resistance and that market has kind of continued to bounce up. We've now dropped past that point for the next 2 days, or for the last 2 days, including the start of the market today. So I think the market can only go up for so long. Like we have seen unprecedented growth. 30% last year. I think it was 25% the year before that. Like that's not supposed to happen in the market. And so I think the market will correct. It wants to correct. I think one of the things I have learned is you are always going to miss some booms. You're not supposed to catch them all, right? Like, and I think that early in my investment journey, I was overly freaked out by down days and I was overly freaked out by the amount of money that I didn't make. And it's Warren Buffett says your only job is not to lose money, right? And so I do know that the money sitting in my high yield savings account may have only made me 5%, but I didn't lose any more than that thing. You know what I mean? And so I think what I have personally done is I'm about 50-50 right now. I got about 50% of my money in cash and about 50% of it in the market. That means I have seen huge upside potential. And so when I say the market, that does also include crypto. So I do have, I think it's about 5 or 6 or 7% of my net worth in crypto as well. And my strategy in my mind of how to look at this is I didn't take any money that I was going to need over the next 4 years. That money's sitting in cash, right? If I think I may buy another house or we may do another investment in a business or real estate or whatever it be, that money is sitting there and is ready for us to use it. If I think it's anything that I've got in the market right now, I'm prepared to let that thing sit there for 10 years plus, right? And so if I know at that viewpoint, all of this stuff is going to go back up. I think it's still going to hurt myself. Like it's going to hurt me as I look at the market and watch this thing go down. Cause I do think we're going to see some, even if it bounces back up, we are going to see something happen. We've got to. I just can't. It doesn't ever, never come, right? It may feel like it takes longer to come than you expected, but something's going to happen, right? And I'm prepared to buy at those times. And there is still an amount of money that we are dollar cost averaging, right? Like I put money into the market every paycheck, every cycle, every month, whatever it is, no matter what, and that money's gone by whether we're at all-time highs or we're not. And then we'll circle back in. Like there's just some things that I've been waiting to drop, right? Like, I see a down market is a great opportunity, right? This is what I've been waiting for, right?
Everything's on sale, and
If
that's
we
what
could
we
all
saw.
go back to 2028, right? We'd all be rich today. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I'm waiting on that drop to happen and then not be too scared to make the call when we get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You're also invested heavily in real estate, which I think is so smart right now. When you think about what's going on with AI and so much uncertainty, one thing that is for certain is we're all going to still want places to live, need places to live. There is a housing shortage in a lot of different areas of our country. My real estate has saved my ass the last couple of years. I was like, thank God, because that's where some of the net worth really went up. I have a few different properties. I'm not a real estate mogul. I know you're more involved in it than I am with putting together groups of people to invest in real estate together and things like that. I know some people that have made serious money in real estate. And I always bring this up because it's so interesting to me. The Venn diagram of people that are into like neurolinguistic programming and real estate is a circle for some reason. Like a lot of real estate people in the personal growth world floating around. A lot of people have made a lot of their money that way. And I don't think that's going anywhere, for a little bit. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. A couple of things, right? I will not say, I think I'm more heavily invested in the stocks in the market in general. I do use real estate. I've owned some since, I come from a family of house owners, right? And so I think I inherited a house that my little brother still has now. We bought a house, and my house had me and my brother both house that had those homes. And so what I will say, and I will continue to be in real estate. But again, I don't feel like I'm an expert in this space by any means, but I have used it to make sure that we work less and my family has more income. I think now is a hard time to find cash flowing deals, right? It's a really hard time to buy something new, and it has been over the last couple of years because it is cheaper to actually rent a property now than it is to buy and own a property now. So I think if you're getting in or if you're buying new things now, again, it's not the thing that makes investing important. It's not a matter of if something's going to go up or down. It's a win. It's always time. Time is the thing that you're actually trying to figure out, right? And so I think for me personally, right now, I've been looking since we bought the first one. We've been looking for another one, and I just have not been able to find a deal that actually works or works in a way that will give me the numbers that I want. But I'm really liking the opportunity. Like I want to build my next property, right? I would go new construction and probably buy some land, build a duplex. I can control those numbers a lot better. And again, that's something I'm like, okay. And if we have to hold that house for the next 15 years, we'll be prepared to do that and that'll be fine. But it is more of, I think all kinds of investments work, right? Whether it's I'm going to start a business, I'm going to buy a business, I'm going to get into real estate, I'm going to invest in the stock market, all of it works if you can control how long will I be there, right? People get caught up in, oh, I put all my money into crypto and then crypto went down and I needed that money. So I had to sell it, right? That's when you lose money. If you had just waited long enough, now you'd be up by double, right? Like, so, same with housing. I think we're seeing rents actually come back. Rents have gone sky high and they're having to retract. I think we are seeing the housing market slow down because people can't afford to buy a $400,000 house at 7% interest rates, right? And so I think that will continue to produce buying opportunities for most of us if you know what you're seeing. I think the average person doesn't know what they're seeing. So I think, if I'm watching this show and I'm trying to figure out what do I do next? Where do I go in real estate or where do I go in stocks and investing? It's really, can you understand the landscape? Have you done enough research to know that, hey, we've dropped into a down day on stocks? What does that mean for me? Right? Like, what does it mean when I see? I went on a block the other day in Atlanta and there were four houses for sale on this one block. I've not seen that since 20 like 13, where we could see you could go on a block and there'd be multiple houses for sale. So we're just coming into newness, I think, all around. And so what most people just need to do is just research more information, understand money and markets and business even deeper than you ever have. And then use that information to build your own thesis. Because all your answers are probably right. But depending on, if are you going to go commercial property? Are you going to own a property and house hack it? Are you going to build something? Are you going to buy and rehab? Are you going to flip? Like Burr strategy, all of those strategies are different. And depending on what you see, some of those will work and some of them won't. But if you can't recognize the difference, that's when I think people get hurt. And if you can, that's when we all gonna make money. Now is still the time to make more money than you ever had. I think it's still gonna be a great 10 years if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's the if you know what you're doing part. One thing that is nice about the internet, and especially now about the advent of AI for research, et cetera, is there's such less of a barrier to entry for this knowledge for anybody who wants it. If you want to learn how to make money, you can learn how to make money. That's always been true, but it's even more true now. I mean, I started out with Susie Orman books. I
Mhm. Same.
shout out
People
to
love
Susie
Dave
Orman.
Ramsey. Susie Orman is who I wanted to be in life,
I
though.
love Susie Orman, and she broke it down, and it was like that was the first time I was like, "Oh my god, I could make money with money. If I could just get a little bit of money, I could use it to make a lot more money." Obviously, I got interested enough that I eventually went to business school and got into this professionally, right? But I didn't come from a family that taught me about that stuff, or a background where that was something that we even talked about intergenerationally. It was very much, I came from Southern Oklahoma. The values were, when you're 18, you're out, you're independent, you figure it out. I didn't know anything about my parents' finances, like there was no family sharing. And when I went to grad school at Dartmouth and I met all these people who had generational wealth, the way that they communicated about wealth within their families and the way that they utilized it, it was like, this is the family's money. And so if somebody needs it to go to school right now, we're going to pay for the tuition, or we're going to, and everybody made more money because it was a family pool of money that was accessible for all. And so I learned so much from watching that. And the way that I am treating my kids is completely different now because we know better, we do better. Right. And so it's like, I am paying for my son to go to college because right now in the family pool of money, he doesn't have any. He's 18. And that's what makes sense to do. And also, I'm sure one of my children will take care of me when I'm old if I need it. If I've
They
had
were,
two,
I'm sure.
I have
I'm
a better
sure.
chance.
Yeah.
But so that the education is there if you want to access the education. Now we come up against money mindset, right? And this is something you work on all the
Mm.
time. This is something I work on all the time, especially with people who come from backgrounds where it just was never a consideration that you were ever going to have money or that anyone in the family was ever going to have money. And what that does to somebody's mindset, like what a prison that creates. It's like that old anecdote where they chain the baby elephant up and then one day they take the chain off and the baby elephant doesn't go anywhere because it's just always had a chain on. It doesn't know that it can walk now. And we see that all the time. And so what I love about you is that you're on the internet every day going, hey, everybody, you can make money. Hey, look at this. Think about this. What about this? Or you don't even need that much money to get started. You could start, you could put a little bit of money in this kind of account. But like, talk to me about some of those. What are some of those common mindset blocks that you hear that even frustrates you or that you would like to help people get past?
Yeah, I think the big one for me, and again, transcending even money, right? I noticed that it's all based on your entire life, and what you produce in life is based on how you identify, right? And so a lot of times I see people identify as poor, right? And that is the righteous thing to do, right? They see it as I am a champion for humanity because I am poor. And I think that that mindset, number one, is the worst one that you can have, right? I don't think poor people produce impact and change in the way that people want that to happen, right? If I hold up, this comparison may be harsh. However, if I hold up a houseless, homeless person and I hold up a Jeff Bezos or a billionaire, whoever, one of them has way more impact on humanity than the other. Right. And so I do believe that identifying as poor or identifying as things being hard or identifying as money as an evil thing to have are the things that keep you locked out of being able to live the life that you actually really want in relationship to money. So that's the big one, right? It's just how you see yourself. Like, I am a beautiful black creature, right? You could not come to me and say, Brooklyn, you're white. I just want it conflicts with my identity, right? And so what you cannot allow people, what you will never allow people to do is change the identity that you have for yourself. So I think what I've done, what I always recommend for people as well is let's look at how you identify. Right? Do you identify as this being hard? Do you identify as the villain in a story? Do you identify as someone who will never go beyond this status, right? Like, I was having a conversation with one of my closest friends, and this friend makes money. Like, this friend has always made money. They have always made more money than me, always. And we were talking about something about, they're also a big spender. They also, I think, they think money comes and goes, right? Like some of their belief patterns. I was like, well, what happens when you become a millionaire? And they couldn't they're like, I don't identify as a millionaire. I don't ever see that for myself. Right. And so I was like, well, there's your block. Right. You will never go beyond what you believe is possible for yourself. And so I think that's the thing that people should really start to look at when they look at their money mindset is, okay, when do I start becoming uncomfortable? You know what I mean? If you took Brooklyn the billionaire, I'm not there yet, right? Like, doesn't mean I don't have the ability or that I'm not capable or that I couldn't get there. But I also don't identify as a CEO, right? Like, I don't identify as someone who will lead a business. I don't identify, or at least in the past, I didn't identify as someone who could run a team, right? And so I've avoided running a team. All of these things have limited where I thought I would go. And so I've had to sit down and say, okay, but what if I could run a team? What would that look like? Right? Who would I be and how would I show up somewhat to that? Right? If I was to be I still probably don't want to be CEO. I like seat number two. But if I were to lead this thing, what would that look like? Who would I be? What would I do and what would I have to make that happen? And I think the more you do that, tied with also, again, find some new folks. You want to be a team leader, go surround yourself with some team leaders, right? You want to go from, you want to be a billionaire, surround yourself with some billionaires, right? You want to be whatever it is you want to be, surround yourself with those people. And then understand that I am actually the only barrier to this. Like, capitalism isn't going to stop me. It doesn't mean there's not capitalism isn't going to throw its own barriers into the thing, right? But it's my association with capitalism, and what I believe that that does is going to be me being the baby elephant tied to the chair.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I can appreciate where it comes from. If you're in and you and I both spend a lot of time in queer progressive communities, and where especially if the community is the kind where people are going to start attacking rich people or things like that, then the last thing you want to do is be like, but I'm a rich person. You want to go, no, here's all the ways that I am too marginalized and I'm one of you. And I got caught up in that a few years back, right? Because you're like, no, no, because it's not me, and a lot of the other people in those groups that were contributing that dynamic were also very privileged people. You're talking about people who are highly educated. You're talking about people who have families. It's like your dad was a dentist. Like you're not fucking poor. Like you're not
Exactly.
like you're not Bezos,
Ever.
but nobody's Bezos. But what is this
100.
race to the victim thing that's been going on? Because it's actually keeping people from creating the type of wealth that would have a bigger impact on the things that they want to change.
Period. Period. Like that is the if you take nothing else from this conversation, is that yes, so many people are playing it small in this hope to be like everyone else. And instead, if as a group, we would all just admit, I'm actually doing damn well from where I've come from and who I was and who, as far as I could be. If I look at who my mother was, who my grandmother was, like they have created this person that they would absolutely celebrate for all of the achievements of where I've come from. And that stands on the foundation that they helped build for me, right? Like, and that didn't look like a lot of stuff. If by all means, you would call that possibly poor, right? Or depending on who's looking at it, someone would be like, girl, you grew up with all the things you ever needed, right? Like, and so, yeah, if most of us would just admit that, like, nah, I'm great. Life's gonna be great. It's gonna continue to get better from here. And actually believe that and not try to like hide so no one will catch you being abundant. Like it's crazy. Then we
What
would
if
the
instead
whole
we
world
were
would be different.
examples to each other? What if we inspired each other?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Like me
What if
and
we
my
showed up and
friends.
someone said, "Oh my god, if Michelle can do that, I can do that too. If Brooklyn can do that, so can I."
That's
And we
exactly.
started to tap into who we really are, which is creators.
Period. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Create from a place of abundance. Believe it to be true. I think the hard one is how do you create a mindset you've not seen, right? Like, or when things are contrary to what you want your beliefs to be, right? Like that is very real, right? It is very hard to have no money in the bank account and not know what you're gonna eat tonight, and then be like, "Oh, I'm a millionaire, Brooklyn." Right? Like I hear you on that one, right? And so I think I spend a lot of time listening to great information. And I love Abraham Hicks that they'll play. And as soon as we get off of this, I will probably play that in the background. We're writing affirmations, we're believing affirmations. I make it a family event, right? So it's not just something I do. It's also me and my little brother are talking about it. Me and my wife are talking about it. Me and my friends are talking about it. And then I think you also have to take it easy on yourself because transformation takes time, right? And it is not a linear process, right? And so you're going to be up one day, you're going to feel like you're in the dumps the next day. You're going to believe what you say some days. The next day, you're going to be like, that's an absolute crock of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. And all of that is great and dandy. And then just keep pointing to the direction that you want to be in. And somewhat the more you say it, the more you actually start to believe it's true and it'll happen. And then I think you'll hit that plateau, like, and then you'll be like, you'll forget, you'll stop listening to Abraham Hicks, and you'll go through your life, and then you'll look back and you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go to the next pinnacle, and now I need to get back into all of that stuff. And so I think people also just have to take it easy with themselves and believe they're worthy of all the things they want.
Believing you're worthy is so important. I'll tell you, if you're watching or listening, this is one example right here of somebody who has been so poor. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from as an adult. And here I am. Here's another example right over here, right? You've been there. And that's not where we are now. It is possible to go from there to here when you expose yourself to the right education, the right ideas, and when you start to work past those limiting beliefs and mindset blocks. And then once you get to a certain point, there are so many people like Brooklyn, like myself, who are out here existing just to help you navigate this. And that's like my whole mission. I know your whole mission is just to help people who want to go. If you want to change your life, there's lots of people here to help you. So Brooklyn, where can people find you on the internet if they want to follow along with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm kind of hiding out in my house here in Atlanta, but Facebook, it's Brooklyn Wright. I am always there. Instagram, it's dope ass Brooklyn. If you find me at either one of those places, seriously, send me a DM, send me a thing. I'm really looking to be more friends than I am to be a coach or a teacher or a mentor or anything like that. I do believe, I believe like attracts like. So if you like me, I like you back. Like you said, I want all my friends to be successful. So reach out, be a friend, and we'll take it from there.
Well, we like you and we love you, and you are our dope ass friend. Thank you so much for being on the show, Brooklyn Wright. And we'll have to have you back. This was great. But really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to see you in person, hopefully in the next year.
We're gonna
My
make that
friend. I know.
happen.
Yeah, I know you're doing somebody something somewhere. Let me pop in and say hi to the crew as always.